easy, no man. From your love sink, it's bad.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Frank and Candid. I'm Tony Nias. Glad to have you on board. All right, quickly, notice here the Leadership Matters, the virtual forum series. It returns this evening at 8 o'clock when Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris will be joined by members of the National COVID-19 Task Force. This evening's program is the first for 2021. It will give citizens and residents the opportunity to get up-to-date information pertaining to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, as well as to remind everyone of the various health and safety protocols that have been put in place to keep the nation from the deadly disease. St. Kitts and Nevis has been ranked best in the Caribbean at managing the pandemic, with the least number of infections and 0 deaths. Just recently, a data trafficking site listed the Twin Island Federation among the few countries in the world that are winning against COVID-19. Jamaica should start getting its shipment of COVID-19 vaccines this month. That is based on discussions between the government and the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and that's according to the country's health and wellness minister. He told the Jamaica Observer News that discussions are now underway to iron out the details. Expectations are that the country will receive or will be receiving at least enough doses to cover the more than 440,000 people in the categories of Jamaicans' health authorities wants to receive the shots first. At required 2 doses per person, an estimated 677,000 doses of the vaccine would be needed. Jamaica is among 36 countries from Latin America and the Caribbean region that have now received letters from PAHO notifying them of the estimated number of doses of AstraZeneca vaccine that they could be receiving from the second half of this month through the second quarter of 2021. An estimated 35.3 million doses is to be dispatched across the Americas in the first stage. South Africa will nominate the Cuban Medical Brigade for the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize for its work around the world to fight COVID-19. President Cyril Ramaphosa said this in an address to the nation about the new COVID-19 regulations just last night. He praised Cuba for sending out 3,700 medical professionals around the world to fight the pandemic, including those who came to South Africa, he said. We have been extremely fortunate to receive support from all over the world. And this evening I wish to recognize in particular the selfless and unwavering assistance of the government and people of Cuba. True to its history, this small island nation has demonstrated solidarity with the hardest hit countries and sent more than 3,700 Cuban medical people throughout the world to assist in the fight against COVID-19. In recognition of this effort, the South African cabinet has approved a proposal to nominate the Henry Reeve International Contingent of doctors specialized in disaster situations and serious epidemics. The president said the medical professionals had treated more than 38,000 people by the end of November 2020 and were still active in many countries, including South Africa. Kudos to South Africa for doing something tangible to recognize the efforts and commitment of the Cuban people. All right, this is day 2 of February, day 2 of an observance of Black History Month. This is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans, firstly, and a time for recognizing their central role in our history. Also known in America, some people refer to it as African American History Month. but it's a little broader than that. The event grew out of Negro History Week. It was the brainchild of noted historian Carter G. Woodson and other prominent Africans. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Other countries around the world, including Canada and the United Kingdom, also devote a month to celebrate Black History Month. The story of Black History Month begins way back in 1915, half a century after the 13th Amendment in the U.S. that abolished slavery. That September, the Harvard-trained historian Carter Woodson and the prominent minister Jesse E. Moreland founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, that's the ASNLH, an organization dedicated to researching and promoting achievements by blacks and other people of African descent. Known today as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the group sponsored a National Negro History Week in 1926, choosing the second week of February to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. The event inspired schools and communities across the U.S. to organize local celebrations, establish history clubs, and host performances and lectures. In the decade that followed that, a number of cities across the U.S. began issuing yearly proclamations recognizing Negro History Week. And by the late 1960s, thanks in part to the Civil Rights Movement and a growing awareness of black identity, Negro History Week had evolved into Black History Month. President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month in 1976, calling upon the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of blacks in every area of endeavor throughout our history. Since 1976, every American president has designated this month as such. The Black History Month 2021 theme is Black Family, Representation, Identity, and Diversity. Explores the African diaspora and the spread of black families across the United States. Black History Month honors the contribution of African Americans and Africans throughout. Among prominent figures are Madam C.J. Walker, who was the first woman to become a self-made millionaire in the U.S., George Washington Carver, who derived nearly 300 products
This is bad.
Welcome back to Frank and Candid. We do apologize for that break in transmission there. Slight power outage or something like that, some technical issue. But we are back on track and we are back on Frank and Candid. So let's continue with our discussion. We were at the break, or at the interruption, talking about this our second day in the observance of Black History Month. We can always tell a great deal, as I said, about a country and a people by what they deem important enough to remember, to create moments for, and what they put in their museum and what they celebrate. In Scandinavia, for example, there are monuments to the Vikings as a symbol of freedom and the spirit of exploration. In Germany, during the 1930s and the 1940s, the Nazis celebrated the supposed Aryan supremacy through monument and song, while America traditionally revels in either Civil War battles or founding fathers. Yet, I would suggest that we learn even more about a country by what it chooses to forget. Its mistakes, its disappointments, and its embarrassments. In some ways, African History Month is a clarion call to remember, yet it is a call that is often unheeded. Take the example of slavery in our history. For centuries, slavery not only existed, but it was one of the dominant forces in our lives. Political clout and economic fortune depended on the labor of slaves. And the presence of this peculiar institution generated an array of books, publications, and stories that demonstrate how deeply it touched all of us. And while we can discuss basic information, such as the fact that in 1860, 4 million blacks were enslaved, and that a prime field hand cost $1,000, while a female with her childbearing capability bought $1,500. We find few moments to discuss the impact, the legacy, and contemporary meaning of slavery. Well, Black History Month continues to serve us well, in part because Woodson's creation is as much about today as it is about the past. Experiencing Black History Month every year reminds us that history is not dead, nor is it distant from our lives. And that it is true that we should celebrate our history and remember our history all 365 days of the year. That I agree. It is true. However, I have no problem with a focus and a concentration on a particular month to highlight the African struggle and the African history. The month and the observance was created for such a reason. Our past we must not forget, even though we move forward. And so Black History Month provides for us that opportunity. That's my take this morning. 465-2555 is the local number. 718-577-2916 if you're in North America or somewhere overseas where that's a convenient number for you. Give me a call. Let's talk about anything that's on your mind, anything pertaining to Black History Month, anything that pertains to what I just said, anything that you disagree with. I am open to that. All right. The pandemic still continues. It rages on. As a matter of fact, I just saw an article coming out of Martinique where the people of Martinique were demonstrating. They're demonstrating because the authorities there said they wanted to cancel. They wanted to cancel their festival, and people in Martinique said no. They want their carnival. So how that will play out, I don't know. But let me give you some of that information that just came across the wire this morning. Seems as though they really don't care about COVID or anything else. They just want their carnival. And authorities be damned. They don't care. COVID be damned. They want to enjoy their festival, and I guess they say what happens after, right? Well, some people are like that, but that's the gist of it. They don't care. They want to continue with their festival regardless of the consequences. But they say who can't hear will feel, but for them, I guess they never heard that. So let's see here. The story says that people in Martinique took to the streets to back demands for the authorities to permit a traditional carnival. Hundreds took part. The group, accompanied by music, strolled through the streets of Martinique capital, Fort-de-France. They stopped at the official residence of the prefect for a while, but since no one was at home, the organizers continued on saying that carnival is too important to Martinique culture for the authorities to scrap it. And that's according to a publication. Many who took part in the demonstration, they were not wearing masks to prevent COVID, but they were, they covered up their entire face, really, more to conceal the identity. So, however, that is the situation, and that is so in some other places. Understand that also up in New York, the Jewish community also protested, told the authorities they're not wearing any masks, and they're seen in the Jewish communities, especially if you go into the Eastern Parkway area around Utica and so on. They're seen there. The Jewish people are seen there. Most of them not wearing a mask because they decided they're not wearing the mask. And they're getting away with it. So there you have it. The world as it is today. The world today. Let's go to the phone. Say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Naya.
Good morning.
Yes. Well, thank you for giving us this reminder about the Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we have a lot to celebrate here in St. Kitts, positively for the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot but commend those in charge at this time regarding COVID. And I thought to myself the other day, look for the United Nations or one of those international agencies trying to heal some of our technical people afterwards.
Okay, yeah.
Really done a very good job, and they must be commended.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to focus here on the Black History Month aspect. I think we do some good things, and we do some things that really should be called out in terms of some negative impacts. Now, one, I'm going to mention Buckley's to start with.
Mm.
I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, there was celebration of the Buckley's riot.
On the 28th.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and all the positive things that came out of it, because this sort of led the way for the rest of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that has been going on for several years, and it shocked a number of us, including the person now who has, I think it's Zach, who had something there, the museum and the back of Buckley's, that a whole section of that area was sold to a private entity.
All right.
And I thought to myself, how could that be? That here we are celebrating the Buckley's, rather than that whole area be used, in so many ways. And so that even when you're going now to visit that museum that Zach has there, you can't park properly because all of that area has been sort of siphoned off. So that is one of the negative things. Another area I must mention is what is happening at Frigate Bay and the Seahawk Marine Development. One person put it this way: the irresponsible development at Frigate Bay, Seahawk Marina Development, to a great extent it destroys the beach and sea bathing area and makes it environmentally unsafe for public sea bathing. It takes away from the people an amenity that was naturally beautiful, safe and free for myriads of seagoing crafts that will increase conflicts with sea bathers. And the unfortunate thing to me is that this was done during the time when we had the lockdown. People were not allowed to go on the Frigate Bay Beach. And it seemed as though the idea was, I don't know if it was originated at that time, but bit by bit we see what is happening. They're going to, even the marina they're having there, and they're going to put some villas there. And so even the drive into that area, because you see the design on a board there now. I mean, all of these things were just done in a sort of very stealthy way. And right now, of course, you can't walk along the beach because they have all these stones and boulders doing I don't know what. But it is clear that those stones were put there because by building the marina, it is going to begin to destroy aspects of that sea bathing, so they have to put other boulders. And so sea bathers are going to be virtually corralled. The water, it cannot be as safe. People normally would go there and then swim right out, but then they're going to be competing with the boats coming in. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how this was developed, whose idea it was, and quite frankly, I do not know how the cabinet allowed it. So that's the second thing. The third thing I would say is the buildings on Central Street that were recently demolished. We got the notice, I think, on Thursday that they were going to take down these historical buildings. No one even thought of saving even one of those structures. These have been there for decades, maybe a full century, I don't know. And nothing was left. They were just demolished. So I asked myself, where are the historical preservation societies and persons in terms of what we need to preserve for posterity? And then finally, something I keep talking about, the Bastia High School. I don't know how to this day, after about 6 years going on 7 years, that we are allowing that site to remain in the state it is in. And even now with the COVID situation and the children at Bastia High who have to suffer in very cramped space, if even the East Park Range area could not have been refurbished or cleaned up, even the grounds cleaned up on that part to allow that. allow the use of it, because I can't believe that it's still contaminated. For all the things that we are doing, we don't know yet how to decontaminate that area. That is a shame. So these are some of the deficiencies I think that government needs to be held responsible for and need to be showing a more positive attitude and work towards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we go back to the phone. Say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good morning, Tony.
Good morning.
I'm here.
Yes.
Correction. The incident that happened at Buckley's, where I was born, it was not a riot.
Okay.
It was a strike with the cutters them. They decided the cane field that they went out to cut the morning is a cane field called Round Hill. You could stay down in Buckley's and look up and see it. And when they went in there, they decided, well, no boy, this is pure trash. We ain't going to get no money out of this cane field. So the head cutters out of the tree gang come down in the estate and they talk to Dobridge and Mr. Pan and tell them, well, we ain't going to get nothing out of the cane field up there, Round Hill. We're going to just be banging our shoulders. And we need more money for the cane field or put us in another cane field. And they refuse. Well, the man say, okay, well, we ain't going back up. They go cut in the trash. So they put on the machete and they head south, turn left to come east. And that was the demonstration. And 3 men in the village lost their lives because of that. Because some idiot who believed that only the man could pull gun trigger. Let go gun and shoot them. So that is that. Now, Tony, I want to say this to you. Buckley's, the same place here where the lady talked about just now, that was sold to a private enterprise. The person, the government at the time who sold that, they had no consideration for what happened in Buckley's and for us who live there. They sell the whole of that thing. There was a cattle pen because my uncle had cattle right tied in front of my mother's house. And they sell the whole of that come right over to the asphalt. The big galvanized nuts house in Buckley, even that they sell. So what happened to us who live, our mother and grandmother who work hard over Buckley's? No consideration. No interest in the history of what happened there. And now who sell the land coming talking foolishness about why this administration don't put up a monument there. How they gonna put up a monument there and he don't sell the land? Eh? Sell the land with the big beam in here, no one come and talking about this administration, nyampi in your eye. And you do it, and you sell the land. And the last thing in this first shot, because I got one more shot to come back with, locally, because it is disturbing. It got a lot of man gender and job sites, because they have a little power of authority over other employees. They believe they could sexually harass the woman them on the job. Who ain't sexually harassing the woman them by telling them about give them piece of the thing. Want to touch up woman on the job. And when the woman resists, they believe they could pressure the woman and punish them. Well, I'm telling all women, any man, pan your job, fresh with you, come put question to you. They're free to talk, but don't touch. And it depends on what they say. And they go to bone, give them a lawyer, and give them a woman lawyer. Woman lawyer going to deal with them for you. They don't know the place. Woman supposed to go about the place freely, unmolested, especially when you work. So because you use me, but you believe you could come and tell me forward there's some freshness because I'm working under you. And when I resist, you want to put pressure upon me? Well, the last thing I'll say now, Tony, I was here last night on BBC. Up there in China, where a lot of these diseases originated. Remember they had a disease called, what they call it, Yaz. And if you up the village and me down Trafalgar and you watch me and you smile, 1 hour we going to get Yaz. It's just stupidness. And then after that, couple years after that, in China, they lock up a couple people up there for contaminating baby food. Lock them up, you catch them doing it. And now the latest last night I heard that they lock up a few people in China where this COVID nonsense originated, killing all innocent people in the world. They catch them making, what you call it, fake vaccine. Imagine that, fake vaccine, and it is said that they started doing that since November of last year. So you see what China up to? They want to see how many people in the world they could kill off so that they could be on top to rule. So I'm asking, I am calling on the United Nations and all the other innocent countries of the world, launch an attack on China. Let them sit down and stop this stupidness. Look, all of us innocent with this COVID-19, killing this and making this sick, all because of them, with the wickedness. Mine, you take this your warning serious, you know. Thank you, Tony.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning, welcome.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the Moros and the Marcus Messiah, Garvey and Queen and things. God bless you, my beloved African brother. How are you and your family?
We're doing well. What about you?
Good, brother. Good, man. Good. Now, brother, I'd like to speak about an issue here. Brother, too long now, beloved, and this must change. It must change from the African continent in the African diaspora, beloved. But our people are African peoples. I know some people gonna come and say that the word Africa is a Greek word from John Africanus. Total nonsense. I was told by Dr. Joseph Ben Yakonen, affectionately known by Dr. Ben, who I know personally. I have pictures here with Dr. Ben and my youngest son. I used to speak with Dr. Ben. I used to go United African Movement meetings every Wednesday night in Harlem, 127th Street, near Bailey Dempsey Center, between Minister Malcolm X Boulevard and the great Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard. Beloved brother, it's not no African word. John Africanus was a Greek thing, that name, beloved. I like to see, instead of recording, not me, I only refer to myself when we come on black in terms of color. That's what we should do. It should be systematically, beloved brother, enforced. Let me repeat that. It must be systematically enforced from the African continent and in the African diaspora where we run things. That's what it is nonsense. Well, black and thing. Black code is supposed to be the color, beloved brother. And if you're going to say, okay, where we come, where we were born, I have no problem with it. But Africa or African must be on our birth certificate. And I mean, the other races too, beloved. But that's for them to argue their point, beloved brother. So you're born in St. Kitts, New Year's? You want to see African, Kittitian, African, Division, African, Jamaican, African, Barbadian, African, Antigua, and Barbuda? I have no problem with that, beloved brother. For you land where you were born, but it must be African, beloved brother, and our birth certificates. I know you don't got a lot of people who got colonized mind gonna be opposing to that, because brother, some more people are lost and lost forever. But like I always say, I'm not gonna bring in nobody over 40 years. I deal with the young people to 40 years. Everybody else, that's their business, beloved. The young people, because they are the now generation and the generation of the future. And them run things very, very soon, beloved brother. And they should start now, beloved. So, brother, that's all I have to say today, beloved brother. Continue to listen. Keep up the great works, Pan-Africanism, our parish. One love, beloved.
All right, one love. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid. Good morning, caller. Okay. All right. Just for the benefit of those of you who may not have picked up that story that Culture mentioned, let me share with you. It's from the Associated Press. Chinese police arrested more than 80 suspected members of a criminal group that was manufacturing and selling fake COVID-19 vaccines. And they were selling it to other countries as well. Police in a number of provinces, including Beijing, broke up the group led by a suspect surnamed Kang that was producing the fake vaccines, which consisted of a simple saline solution, salt water really, and the official, as according to the news agency, and the vaccines were sold in China and to other countries, although it was unclear which ones. The group had been active since last September. That's according to the report. There you have it. I can tell you, I'm telling you, this world. And speaking of fake stuff, I mean, the amount of fake stuff come out of China, and they're all missing up. These unscrupulous people don't miss an opportunity to create a fake item. You make something and somehow they come up with a fake one. Here they're messing with the lives of people, creating a fake COVID-19 vaccine. So, all the more reasons why we have to be on our toes and, be quite careful about what we do. And try to, as much as you can, deal with reputable people and organizations. Otherwise, you find yourself caught up in this nonsense. All right. Also mentioned was the fact that one of the main drawbacks or the main hindrances to this whole Buckley's Uprising monument was the fact that the land is not available anymore, which is sad, really sad, because nobody thought about how important it was for us to get a little space for a monument to observe and remember the sacrifices. Let's go back to the phone. Say good morning. Welcome to Frank and Candid.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Look, everybody have their own opinion about Africa,
Sure.
but for me, I would just leave those people alone. Every country in Africa, they have some kind of civil war by now. The guys ask for to let them into office, and when the turn is up, they change the constitution, cause that cause more fighting. I can't tell them no country in Africa where there is no war, killing. I don't understand what they get out of it. Just start up, somebody do something, you start a war. As far as I'm concerned, I don't. And last night I heard the Prime Minister something about Nigerian investor here. I hope it did the Prime Minister and whoever is to see with Labour, don't let this man bring the crowd of Nigerian here to take job from locals. Otherwise, it's going to cause confusion. If you want to invest, you come to invest. But don't bring the plane load of Nigerians here to take away local jobs. That's all I have to say, sir.
Okay. All right, we're going back to the phones and say good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Nair.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, the points raised about the Frigateberry Beach and the old electricity buildings and the Basti High School raises a much larger issue. That of how are we governed? When we elect a government, do we give them carte blanche or a blank check to do whatever they want for their term? Most of the governing politicians who ultimately have the power and authority to make the final decisions on these matters do not have the technical abilities to do so. Right? They are doctors and lawyers and accountants, and they should, so this is an area out of their expertise. They should at least listen to the technocrats and the other people with the expertise and vested interests in things like environmental and heritage and historical preservation. And the silence of those people who do have a vested interest and who are supposed to take these things seriously, the silence is deafening. I'm not sure why they are so cowed and don't speak up. Okay? So it seems as if we have no way to turn to for redress. Okay? One of the reasons why we were so successful in our management of COVID, I think, was that the Prime Minister at least recognized that it was primarily a medical issue and let the near professionals lead on it. Okay? Step out of the way. Stop stepping on their toes. Yes, he might have used it politically, but at least in terms of the keeping us safe and that sort of thing, he yielded to the New York team. Similarly, when it comes to matters of development, these politicians should yield at least some ground to the technocrats and the professionals, right? No major infrastructure or developmental project should be undertaken without widespread consultation. And it is high time that change. I mean, we looked at what happened with the New Basti High School. We would have thought that that would at least be an example of what would happen going forward. But here we are, about to build a solar farm project on the aquifer, and there's no consultation about it. They already break ground. Okay? And this thing about land is not available anymore for a monument. That's nonsense. There is something called eminent domain, where government can essentially take over there's a plot of land or even bigger, okay, in the public interest. You compensate the owners, of course, okay, but they can seize land in the public interest, all right? Every country has that right. Every government has that right, okay? So that is just an excuse. And talking about what happened, how it went, how the land got to be in the private hands, doesn't help to advance what needs to be done. Okay? We need to do what needs to be done now. Okay? Stop looking at how the land went, where it went to, and if we figure that this is what we need in order to get that monument done, I've already said that, and personally I believe it should be in the National Heroes Park, but if it is determined that it should be at Buckley's, then acquire the land and do it, you know, and stop agonizing over what happened. Okay then, that's my
all right. Thank you for your input. Okay. All right. Speaking of fake, there's also a story. You know how they were making a big song and dance about vaccinating frontline nurses, frontline workers first, and they had camera crews and so on, put it on TV. A hospital in Texas was accused of faking a coronavirus vaccine for a frontline nurse after TV viewers claimed that the syringe, they didn't see the syringe move. What happened is 5 medical workers at the University Medical Center of El Paso, it's in Texas, they were filmed getting the hospital's first immunization against COVID-19. That was on Tuesday. The TV crew, that was earlier. And the TV crew was invited to film. But people looking at it noticed that the syringe didn't move. So the hospital then decided to revaccinate those people. All right, let's go back to the phones. Good morning, welcome.
Tony?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you remember Cunningham Hospital?
Yes, born there.
Don't tell me, I know. There was some certain structure in the Cunningham Hospital compound which was historical. And Dr. Simmons' administration had to remove that to build the Bryan, Fitzroy College Bryan school to be there for some people to get a job in there. So if that historical place never removed, some people would not get a job in there. And when a lot of wrong things were going on up Buckley's, when the land was sold, it was sold before 2015 election. And people who talking now, they had stopped working with the government. So when them did say that certain things were going on wrong and they couldn't comment on it on the radio because they were civil servants. They lie with this one here. When Buckley's was turned over and sold, they wasn't working as no civil servant. So when they come criticizing this about the government, this and that, they were there and they said nothing. So when they're saying that people should not sit back, that is true. When we see things going wrong, we should speak out. No law supposed to stifle nobody's conscience. As long as you are not wrong, speak out against wrong. Where in Buckley you're going to put a monument unless you ask the people them to sell you back the land? No land out there, thing. No land out there, not even to go across by the museum where Jack got. Jack got to walk with a foot in front of another foot to get across there. The only place in Buckley now the government could build the monument is in the road. The road go up in front of my mother house there. So when people don't know what they're saying, they should hush. And they're talking about a lot of structure like the high school and all of that there. They had no consultation. Man, that's false. That consultation been going on all around the place under the administration. This 1 year we're talking that they should take down that and put up this. I don't know why people must be so. Stop telling lies, people. The Bible said, thou shalt not lie. Stop it. Thank you, Tony.
All right. I think though the caller was talking about acquiring the land. All right, let's go back to the phone. Let's go say good morning. Welcome.
Morning again, my beloved brother. Brother,
yes.
He called after me. Let me tell him, if you don't know, Africa have 55 recognized states. 5 is under the occupation of Arabs. Okay? I mean, I ain't going to name them now, but I named them previously, on occasion. I would like him to call back and name 7 African states that have, according to him, civil war. Call back and name 7 African states that have civil war going on presently. Total lie and nonsense. You see, but this is self-hate among a lot of people supposed to be African. Everybody got their own thing, but if you're going to commit truth, commit facts, stop telling lies, don't need the self-hate. This is why our liberation gonna be going at a slow pace, because we have colonized minds like that individual and others. And one last thing, Brother McMahon, brother, you didn't say that those lands up there in Buckley, like Culture rightly said. You ain't blaming the guy from St. Paul's and his cabal who sold those lands when they was mismanaging the affairs of St. Kitts Nevis. Talk the truth, beloved. Talk the truth, man. Truth will set all of us free. You can't just come and put things out there when you know they are not truthful. That's the problem with a lot of our people. Brother, continue to listen. Pan-Africanism approach. One love, beloved.
Okay. Thank you. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You're live. Okay. Caller not listening to us there. All right. Okay. Whatever the case is, I subscribe to the idea that something should be done and must be done. And I go back to what I said, that you can tell a great deal about a country and the people by what they deem to be important enough to remember and to create moments for. What they put in museums, what they uphold, what they celebrate. Just look at what they think is important, and it tells you a lot about those people. And too many times we fail to acknowledge certain things that are important. Let's go to the phones. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Myers.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, and morning to Magic Fingers.
Okay.
Yeah. That estate yard up there in Buckley.
Uh-huh.
That place they're not just sell, A black yard, the boy, And I don't even think who got it now is the first owner. I think who got it now? The second one, I'm not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
You see, West Farm Yard again is state was sell.
Yeah.
You see how long they stop they get to this one yet, you know. See how long they're going to stop before they get to this one now. Because West Farm and Buckley, them two estate, was the same thing. Them they don't mean to sell.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, they ain't get to this one yet. So maybe in the next 10 years they get to this one. So anyway, all the best to you, sir.
All the best. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, speaking of West Farm, there's that retaining wall there again has been an issue. Somebody uptick that wall. If you get a good solid rain and soften that up, that wall is just about ready to collapse. You drive across there, you can see that it's just about ready to collapse. So, you know, somebody take heed. And speaking of getting ready to collapse, I don't want to put too much fear in people, but if you were to go around Fortlands, near the old Fort Thomas Hotel, if you're going from OTI, going around Fort Thomas, past Fort Thomas, heading back to town around that area, I took a look over there because it was brought to my attention. I took a look over there, and it's scary. I mean, the water has been eroding under that road, and it just keeps happening. And at some point, I believe that road will collapse. And let's hope it doesn't collapse while anyone is on it. So I think most people know what I'm talking about. Go around from Fisherman's Wharf, around that, looking over in the water. It's severely eroded underneath, and so we need to do something about that as well before something do us, as they would say. All right, so we are observing Black History Month because it's important, and there are lots of things that we should remember. And not only that we should remember, we should leave, like I say, the monuments so that generations to come could find it and could understand what our people had to go through and to get to where we are today, so that the young people would understand that they're not where they are standing and they're not where they are performing without the activities of our ancestors and people of the past. So that is why these monuments are important. Maybe we're the only ones who don't think about monuments as much, but in many parts of the world, they make sure that the monuments are there so that generations coming can visit these things, and if they're curious enough, will begin to ask questions, and they can get an understanding of, one, why this monument is here, what it represents, and understand what their parents and those before went through, so that the life they're enjoying today was not by accident. It had to be. It took some work, took some sweat, and in some cases took some blood. People lost lives in bucklers, lost their lives in bucklers. People were injured in bucklers, and so it was not free. And so all we're asking is that we don't allow the nation to forget, just like everything else we're asking about, just like the Christina Monument and anything else. All right, so thanks for all of your input to our discussion, and I continue to say that we all have opinions. We all have thoughts on whatever the issue are. Please, just be respectful as we share our own opinion and as we disagree with the other opinion. All right, but it's all helpful in the discourse. Okay, all right. My name is Tony Nass. Thanks again for joining me on Frank and Candid. We will do this again tomorrow if it is God's willing. So we'll see you then.